Let's fast forward to Roman times or Roman civilizations. And I love Roman civilization. I was actually a history major many, many years ago, and my area of expertise was the Roman culture, the Roman civilization. So anything having to do with Rome, I get really excited about. The Romans were amazing people. Anybody here Italian, Roman descendant? The Romans, I mean, they were amazing for the time that they lived. Okay? What did the Romans do well? Yes, sir.
Well, besides politics, they also created an entire road system that linked every single city within there.
We're going to get to the roads in a second. But you mentioned politics, right? They had a system of government. They formalized and worked very well for thousands of years. They were able to run this huge civilization which conquered most of the known world. And I always say, if the Romans didn't conquer it, they didn't want it. They conquered everything they wanted. And they ran it with their political system very efficient. We're going to talk about roads in a minute. What else? Well, they conquered people. I mean, the Romans kicked everyone's butt. You just have to look at all of the surrounding area, and they, by the time, at the peak of their power, they had Roman fortresses everywhere, all the way up to Britain, all the way east to India, all the way west to Spain. It was all Roman Empire. Anything else? They had a great system of civilization which helped feed everyone, great economy, everybody worked, everything went right for the Romans. Now, let's talk about the roads. What's the saying? All roads lead to Rome. Absolutely. All roads lead to Rome. I'm going to turn it around a little bit. Now, when Rome conquered a civilization or a city or a province or whatever, they would go in and they would take their armies and they would beat everybody, and then they would say, okay, well, we can't keep 2 or 3 legions here. We've won. We have to go on and, I don't know, go to this next province and beat them. And so what they would do is they would leave a handful of soldiers, right? Maybe, 100, 200 soldiers in these cities that have 1,000 residents. And sometimes these residents weren't really down with the Roman soldiers, and they got a little antsy. And they said, look, there's 10,000 of us here, and there's only 200 Roman soldiers. Let's get up one night and just kill them all. Right? The problem with that, though, is Rome had figured that out. And they had built all these roads so they could move soldiers around really quick. And so if you were the guy in charge of that town, you'd send a messenger on horse on one of these roads to the nearest legion, and you'd say, hey, look, the people in town are getting really antsy. I think they're going to try something. Get here quick. And so the legion would march in, and all these 10,000 people who were ready to kill 200 soldiers now are looking at thousands of Roman soldiers. And you think that settled them down a little bit? It settled them down a lot. And so what I say about Roman roads is not all roads lead to Rome, but all roads lead out of Rome to the different provinces so we can get armies there really quick to put down any revolts or uprisings by the people. So the roads that they built were exclusively built for the military, to get soldiers around the empire really quick. Right? Isn't that fascinating? Well, something else happened along the way. Rome was so successful in their economy, in their civilization, in their politics, that they came up with this new concept called the leisure class. And before this, it was very, very rare for someone to not have to work from sunup to sundown. If you were born prior to this time, you worked 6, 7 days a week. The Romans became so successful at setting up their civilization, they actually started to get rich people who owned things and didn't have to work in the fields. They had servants and slaves and even hired workers to do the work for them. So let's say you're one of those people. Now what happens to you? You don't have to work in the field. What happens? What do you do with your day? You're bored. You're bored. There's nothing to do. All my slaves and servants are out working in the field, and I'm just sitting here watching them. So what might you want to do? You might want to travel and see the world. You might want to see new and different things, right? Those people were no different than us. I mean, you guys, hopefully, right? Someone says, hey, let's go on a road trip. What are most of you going to say? Heck yeah. Never been to Myrtle Beach before. Let's drive over to Myrtle Beach and see what's going on. Or Gatlinburg, Tennessee, right? Romans were no different. They had the money and they had the time. So now they start to go out and explore. And what do they use to explore? It's already there. It's already built. The roads. So it started out by being used for military, built for military, but now civilians use it for travel. And so these are really what we consider to be the world's first leisure travelers, going out and traveling for fun. The Phoenicians traveled, but it was for business. A lot of Romans traveled for fun. Okay? With me so far? All right. So, all good things must come to an end, and the Roman Empire fell. Again, I'm not going to go over that. You can watch the History Channel or take a Roman history class. But Rome, which had held Europe for hundreds, if not thousands of years, held Europe for thousands of years, fell, and now Europe kind of descended into chaos. It was more tribal and local rulers, and there was not one overall force, kind of the Pax Romana, as we used to say. It's, 5 or 6 neighboring tribes, and they were always fighting each other. So, remember we said it was safe to travel on Roman roads because the soldiers were out there? It was not safe to travel anymore. So travel was severely curtailed. Now, soon we're going to learn why it's a good thing for the economy for people to travel. But right now, you just have to trust me. It is good for the economy when people travel and spend money. And so, because no one was traveling in the medieval times, the Pope said, we got to kickstart the economy and get things going again. And so he came up with this edict, this decree that made people travel. Does anybody know what it is? He said, excellent, the pilgrimages, right? Some of you are familiar with pilgrimages today, right? The Muslim faith, what's one of the tenets of the Muslim faith? You have to go to make a trip to Mecca. Absolutely, it's a pilgrimage, right? Well, Catholics did the same thing. Well, it wasn't Catholics at the time, but the church, the Christian church at the time said, look, if you've got the money and you've got the time, you are obligated to go to the Holy Land. And so they traveled in packs and bunches to get there for safety. How do we know this? Anybody read the Canterbury Tales in high school? Yeah, what's the backstory? What's going on in the Canterbury Tales? It's an okay book.
From my memory, it's like an inn, and it's talking about all the travelers that are at the inn.
Excellent. Yeah, basically they're on a pilgrimage, and they're walking, and they're bored. Because you're just walking day after day. So what do you do when you're bored? You can't turn on the radio. You tell each other stories. And so that's what's going on in Canterbury Tales, is they're bored, and so they start telling each other stories to entertain each other. Okay? And so medieval travel was mostly religious travelers. Okay? Oh, all right. Pre-industrial revolution, first age of tourism, lasted thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. Now, I'm going to let you go in a second, but I'm going to give you a little challenge. There are going to be 7 stages of tourism. In the next class, we're going to finish it up. I want you to figure out what it is that creates the next stage, or what facilitates that change. Okay? All right. You guys learned enough today? Any questions?